morning, everybody. Today we are going clamming, and if there's any oysters, oystering too. Every beach is a little bit different. I've never been to this beach before. Over here on beautiful Hood Canal in Washington, and we're gonna dig up some little neck manila clams, the little steamer clams, which are by far my favorite. Got my buddy James here, and he just found a little manila clam. So in order for it to be keeper size, they need to be 1.5 inches in their widest part. So we'll go ahead and measure that. We're new to this beach. We dug a hole or two up higher on the tide, and we're only finding the mud clams. Not my favorite. So now we're in a little bit more rocky area. There's more pebble and gravel and oyster shells, and this is where we're going to start digging. So let's get out the measuring tool and we'll see if we have a keeper size or not. So on this handy dandy little crab measuring tool, there's also this circle, which is 1.5 inches wide. So you take your little clam and see if you can get it through the hole the fat ways. Like if you do it the narrow way, it's gonna just slip right through, which this one's too small anyways, but you want to do it in its fattest, widest point. So side to side, like no matter which way you do it, this particular clam is too small. Let's try another clam here. Oh, we're almost there. Still a little small. Still too small, so we're gonna keep digging. So here's the tools you need for this little guy. You need yourself a little shovel. I prefer a little short-handled shovel, but even a little trowel will work. So James, you want to dig us a hole and see if we can get some clams? Nice, there's some right there. So we'll just put them in a little pile right next to it while you sift through, and then you can kind of measure them all together. And yep, that one had mud in it. So sometimes you kind of need to give the clam a little squeeze to make sure it's actually a living clam and not just full of mud suction cupped together. So sometimes you kind of give it a little squeeze, pinch it in your hands to make sure there's actually clam in there. There's a pretty big one. And we'll just make a pile of them right here, and we'll measure them afterwards. Nice, look at that guy. Here's a different species. This is the varnish clam, not what we're after today. And then whenever you're done with your hole, it's very important to cover your hole back up. Refill the hole. That protects the habitat, reduces tripping hazard, is just better for the environment, and it's the WDFW rule. So we got a couple of clams here to measure. Let's go ahead and get our measuring device. And any clams that are too small you're not going to keep, go ahead and bury those guys back up. All right, so let's see here if we've got any keeper size. Almost there, but too small. Finding the almost there, but not quite size. All right, keep digging. We found a oyster here, and there's a whole bunch of oyster shells. Most of them have already no oysters in them, but this is a full one. So we're gonna collect a few of these and then shuck them in a minute. Let's look for some clams. Nice. That's the varnish clam, not what we're after today. Here's a clam. These ones all look quite small, but we'll check them out. Nope. 3 nopes. All right, let's find the zone. It's a little more gravelly here, so let's give this a try. Okay, I think I see some keepers in here. Okay, let's do some measuring here. Yeah. Well, maybe Oh yeah, look at that one. That is a sure keeper. There we go. First one. Boom. Keeper size, 100%. Yeah, that one's a keeper. All right, we've got 2 keepers already. And so here's the kind we're looking for.
Yeah.
That are like, have these ridges.
Cool.
Their color pattern can be a little different.
Now you're just hitting the jackpot.
Yeah, now we're in the zone. There we go. Keeper size. Nice.
Amazing.
Yep. And then when we have the keeper size, we'll just put them in a bucket or whatever. There you go.
Should we fill that bucket with water sooner than later?
Well, the tide's coming in, so we'll probably be able to do it at a point. You don't have to do it right now if you don't want. Like, they survive out in the air for a long time because they're used to this tidal flow back and forth.
Awesome.
And then the oysters. So here's some oysters that we've found collectively, and we're just putting in the bucket. So it's closed. So a lot of these, you just find like the remnants of them, and they'll just be sitting on top. You don't necessarily have to dig for the oysters, but when you find them, just like this, you know, like an enclosed oyster. So I figured for now we'll just kind of collect them here in your bucket, and then when we're done kind of digging, we'll do some oyster shucking and have a little mignonette to go with it. Have a little snack. Got our bucket going here. Oysters and clams. So a little note about safety. So you can go to the Department of Health website. That's the one. And they will give it a green rating if it's healthy in terms of like marine toxins, and a green if it's open to clamming, open to oystering. There's certain seasons. Some beaches are year-round for both. Some beaches are year-round for oysters, but not for clams. So you do need to take a look. And you want to look the day of that you're going on that DOH website just to make sure it's in the green for health, because sometimes there's red tides that come through algae and bacteria that make it unhealthy to eat the shellfish. So you do want to check. Here it's a beautiful green day, and we are finding the little steamer clams and the oysters. Because we have a whole bunch of these delicious, fresh on the beach oysters. So 2 things. One, the rule is that you have to shuck your oysters on the beach. So if you want to take oysters home with you, you're not going to have them like on the half shell like you would at a restaurant. You have to shuck them on the beach because the shell is actually used by baby oysters to have, like they make their homes off of that. So they reuse these. So I don't like them fried and cooked as much as I like oysters raw. So we're gonna do a little beach oysters on the half shell. I'm gonna go ahead and make a little mignonette right now. Isa, no. Dogs, love them so much.
No, don't step on the cutting board.
So I'm gonna go ahead and prepare a little mignonette for us, and we're gonna eat these oysters raw right here. Here's our ingredients. We have a little bowl to put it in. Some red wine vinegar. Healthy amount in there. Should be good. Nice, hopefully juicy lemon. And a shallot. Finely chopped shallot right in the mix. We got our little bit of mignonette here, red wine vinegar, lemon, and shallot all mixed together. And we've got our bucket of water here. I didn't bring a little brush, but if you had one, that's probably helpful. We're gonna try to get as much sand and grit off these oysters as we can. Just put a bunch in there real quick. All right. To shuck your oysters, I definitely recommend like a thicker rubber type glove. There are definitely accidents that can happen because the shells themselves are pretty sharp, and when you get the shucker in there, you're going towards your hand and you could really have a little bit of an accident. Tried to get as much dirt off everything as we can. We've got our shucker right here and our oyster, and right here there's a curved round edge and a flat edge. You want to put the curved round edge in your palm like this, and there's a narrow end and a wide end. You want to put the shucker here at the narrow end, and there's a little bit of a divot, and you can kind of get it in there. See, it gets right in there, and you want to go down and in. And sometimes it can be really a little bit hard. There we go. And then you can slide your blade across the top, just like that. The top part comes right off like this. Use your blade to kind of loosen up the oyster. So it'll slide right out. There you go. Now we're just gonna go ahead and take a small little spoonful of mignonette to top it off. Down the hatch. That cannot be beat. The mignonette is perfect. The oyster is perfect, a young tender one. Delish. And then you just leave the shell right there on the beach. It's not trash at all. In fact, you have to do that per WDFW rules. And this is a perfect example. On the back of this shell is a baby oyster right there in its shell. So we're saving it for the next generation. All right, James, let me take the camera for you. This is James' very first oyster. He may hate it, he may love it. Let's find out.
Cheers. That's delicious.
Wow.
Delicacy.
A delicacy. You heard it from him right there. All right, let's shuck some more and feed everybody some oysties.
I don't.
Raw, totally raw. No mignonette.
Little seaweed.
Oh yeah, little extra.
It's delightful.
Salty and good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that one came off nice and easy. That was a great one.
Cheers. It's like kissing a mermaid. Love it.
That's awesome. I have a second shucker tool too if you'd like to use it. All right.
Yeah, this one might need an actual shucker.
The mignonette in
The
there
mignonette
just like really makes it fancy. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yum. Delish. Now you've got a bucket full of oysters. Here's what you should do next. Want to put as fresh of the salty water as you can in there. The cleaner, the better. And give all your little oysters and clams a little rinse, a little scrub. You might need to replace the water again so that the water is nice and clear. What you're doing here is purging the clams. Clams are bivalve, meaning they have two valves inside their little clam bodies where they suck up the clean, salty, briny water and spit out the sand and the grit, and that's what they're digesting and all that. So by doing that, by soaking your clams in this clean salt water, this briny water, you're getting them to purge out all that sand and grit so that when you go to cook them and steam them, you're not eating gritty, sandy clams. You're eating just the pure meat of them, and they're delicious. So you're gonna go ahead and purge them, keeping them soaking in that salty water at a cold temperature. So put them in the fridge or put them on ice or something to keep them cool for several hours, as little as 1 hour and as much as, I don't know, the whole day long if you want. And then at nighttime, go ahead, steam them up, make yourself a little white wine, butter, herb, lemon, you know, kind of mixture, and cook that up, and then add your clams at the last minute. And they are ready to eat as soon as they pop open. When they pop open, that's when they're good to eat. If they don't pop open after a couple minutes, throw it away, it's a bad clam. Okay, so you want them to pop open and then eat them up with some delicious bread. And I hope you guys enjoy that meal. Thank you guys for watching today. Click like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.